The true definition of positive and negative energy. Hi guys, I'm Ian McMinn and this is Path to Who I Am. Today I want to give the real definitions between two terms we hear a lot these days used loosely when describing a person, a place, or a thing. And to really show that when we understand these definitions, I get to apply them in my own life, in my own internal subjective experience to maximize how much I get to learn and how much I get to grow in my specific path that is truly unique to who I am. So, really quick, positive and negative energy doesn't mean good or bad. It just describes two different aspects of experience that we can have internally that determines what path we end up going on, depending on which is predominantly showing up in our experience and which we choose to create more of. So positive energy is defined as that which is integrative. So we can think of the plus sign and the multiplication sign, right? So it is expansive. And the key here is, yet again, neither is good nor bad. It's just describing how things work in our internal subjective experience. Positive energy is integrative. So it seeks to put together or add together or multiply together all the parts of one system to create a whole system. So it's why you see people that are in positive states, they tend to be collaborative. They tend to give constructive criticism. They want to see other people rise to the level they're on so that we, once we're on the same level, we can expand together. So a common pattern you'll see in people that live from positive energy, they want to look at their shadow self. They want to look at the quote unquote negative energy within themselves to integrate it. No, you don't need to be my enemy, negative energy within me. You can join the party. You can integrate in and thus become positive, right? So this is why people that are positive are often always growing, and it's why they're often repellent to people living from negative energy. So negative energy is segregative. It seeks to divide. When I have negative energy, it divides me against myself. And because all is one, it divides me against the world. It's us versus them. It's me versus the other. You will typically see tribal conflicts, type conflicts from people in negative energy. For example, people that take sports seriously, so they hate the other team, versus people in positive energy, they enjoy their team winning. And then when the other team wins, they go, this sucks, but hey, you were the better team, right? So negative energy is divisive. You'll often see people that are out of integrity. So integrity, and what does it sound a lot like? It is has the same root word as integrated. A person with integrity is someone that lives from positive energy, right? So they are the same person in any situation. People that are in negative energy predominantly, they are shady. What makes a shady person shady? They are one way in one situation and another way in another. They have such a fractured personality because, yet again, negative energy divides us against ourselves, that they actually have multiple personalities. So in neurolinguistic programming, this is called parts. So you can actually see that with people that are living on a very low wavelength. They will have some stimuli trigger. They'll get into a situation, stressful situation, for example, and they'll suddenly change behavior. So you can't trust them because I don't know who I'm going to get. And they don't ultimately have control over which personality comes out, right? So how do we apply this? The key here is, this is the only thing I need to do. If I want to lead a fulfilling, conscious life where I get to choose my path and I'm not having negative stimuli control me, I can do a couple things. One, well, really one thing, but it's 2 steps. One, I notice when negative energy is arising, when I'm in a negative emotional state, right? So fear, sadness, sometimes sadness can be positive, right? When it's morning, but beating up on yourself sadness, depression, thoughts of that I suck, thoughts that someone else sucks, hatred, anger, etc. We know all of these emotions well normally. When I notice I'm in a negative state, so step 1 is to notice. I go, I'm in a negative state. So say it out loud to yourself or say it in your head in a very strong way. I am in a negative state. Neuroscience shows that this activates your prefrontal cortex and it gets your logical mind involved. And as a friend that has a PhD in neuroscience explained to me, in mindfulness and meditation, when all you're doing is you're becoming aware of what state you're in. When you come back to your breathing or you realize you were lost in thought, you draw a connection from your prefrontal cortex to that region of the brain, right? So your brain is actually becoming more interwoven. It's becoming more one. There are easier lines of communication between, say, the fear centers of the brain and the prefrontal cortex, so you're able to start regulating. So step 1 is you notice, you go, I am in a negative state. Step 2 is you reset to the positive. So actually, when we consciously reset, it takes us to the positive. So we can have any number of practices. I talk about a lot of the conceptual ways we can reset on this channel. But the point is, you can develop a toolkit of things that work for you that helps you reset to that positive. One of them is I am awareness. Oh, everything is fulfilled. I don't need to chase. I don't need to be in scarcity. I am here right now. All is taken care of, right? Another would be the Wim Hof technique, which is really great. Another would be the physiological sigh, which is where I breathe in. And when I'm at full lung capacity, I sip in more air at the top. So I go like this. Once I'm already filled up, I go like this. And I can do that 5 or 6 times. And that actually, Andrew Huberman talks about, it fully resets our nervous system. So it's going to take you to a positive state again. And so the reason why we know this is useful is we know that negative energy is segregative and it divides us against ourselves. So it's destructive. It breaks things apart. It's not negative. It's not bad, but it is negative, right? It subtracts. It's like the minus and the division sign. It subtracts. It takes parts away from the whole, so it no longer makes it whole. And it divides it, right? So it cuts it in half. Whereas when you integrate, you add pieces to the whole and you multiply. Right? You multiply your strength because you take into account the whole system. So 2 steps. 1, you notice you're in a negative state. You go, I'm in a negative state. 2, you go through whatever resetting process, whatever helps you. It needs to be something you can do in any situation. If it's doing 2 or 3 push-ups, great. But if it requires you to go to the gym, well, you're not always going to be able to go to the gym. What if you already went to the gym, right? So we can, if we're able to go to the gym and that's our reset, well, great. But it's about having a toolkit so you can do it in every situation. So when you do that, something really cool happens. You start to create wires from every negative experience back to a positive. So what happens? Every time, once you start strengthening this circuit, it's like the infinity sign. Every time you do this, you essentially, every negative state or positive state you have leads to positive, right? Because you've created the pattern of, I notice I'm in a negative, activate the prefrontal cortex, which starts to integrate. And then step 2, I fully reset to the positive. So your brain knows, oh, every time, for example, with me, every time Ian goes into a negative state, he will end up in a positive. So we're going to help him with this, right? So this is how actually, once you get going, it gets easier and easier and easier. And after a while, you get to master your reality. And that's really exciting because then I get to show up as who I truly am in the whole system, right? And I get to follow my highest, most joyful path. So when we're in a positive state, we can look at the whole system. So we're better problem solvers, we're better at integrating, we're more charismatic, we're more attracted to the right people, we're more repellent to the wrong people, opportunities, etc., right? And we discover more of who we are. So this is the final piece. When you really get this going, you start viewing, remember how I said negative and positive are not good and bad? When you start viewing negative energy in this way, you start getting excited when new negative states arise, because you know in the darkness, there is only more of yourself. There is only the next level. The way we level up is we encounter darkness and we integrate it. So we get into negative states. I go, oh, I'm in a negative state. And then step two, I go into my reset, right? For moments, as a side note, for moments when you feel as though you can't reset, that's when you need to identify negative beliefs. So this is a little addendum. This is step 2B in case 2A doesn't work. In case the reset doesn't work. And you need to refer to my videos on identifying negative beliefs. I have a couple on those, so you'll just have to look through my videos to find those. But for the most part, acknowledging and resetting will always work. When it doesn't, when you can't reset, it's because you have a negative belief. And guess what? That's when extreme growth happens, when you identify those beliefs. And real quick, the way you do that is you say, what is my greatest fear? Or what would I have to believe is true to be having this experience? And you just start saying it out loud or labeling, genuinely answering those questions over and over until you find that you've released the deepest root, okay? So anyway, guys, this is positive and negative energy, and this is how to work with it. And yet again, when you really get going on this, you realize negative energy is a good thing because it's where I unlock new levels of myself. And you get to recruit that negative energy to join the team, join the party, and at that point it becomes positive. So thus you've expanded your own power, your own access to who you really are. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Yet again, this is from a subjective, experiential standpoint. I hope you enjoyed it today, and I will see you on the next one. This is Ian McMinn with Path to I Am.